Up next from the Citadel, he says he's a recovering lawyer. He's an ethics professor. There's ethics in school.
Absolutely.
But from the Citadel, Dr. Robert Freer. Sir, Dr. Robert Freer.
Thank you. I'm going to get down a little closer to you. Don't like standing way up here. I like to be down with the people.
Thank you. Come on down.
Okay. You've got a lovely evening here today, don't you? What a wonderful, wonderful evening. What a great gathering to have here. And we've heard wonderful things from Senator Grooms. You're going to hear wonderful discussions as well. But if that's all you hear tonight, then this is not worthwhile doing. We've got work to do. We've got real work to do, and that's my expertise. I've spent 50 years getting Washington to do what I want it to do, and I have out there circulating among you is my current column in the Charleston Mercury, which sets out the way forward. If you look for what I call the sergeants, those folks with the yellow shirts, they'll be glad to pass one out if you didn't get one. That's what we have to accomplish. Well, welcome here. I call this Freedom University that you're at tonight, and I welcome you. I'm not going to give you a degree if you complete the transaction by being here as long as you need to. But what you're going to do is you're going to regain your freedom. You're going to protect your republic. This is what you need to do. We lay it out in simple steps. It's fairly simple.
Turn it back into you. They can't hear in the back.
Is that all right? Can I hear a little better? Well, you know, we had this really fancy thing. You know, I asked for a teleprompter, but they said President Obama had them all. I must say that this is the biggest classroom I've ever been in. No, well, listen, I get my own Marine. This is my son, Daniel, who was discharged as a sergeant from the Marine Corps. He was a member of Operation Iraqi Freedom. Right? And I'm so glad to have him. Very proud of him. Unfortunately, he's about to go off and suffer from my indignity. He's going to be a lawyer. But he's going to a great law school. He's going to Regent, which uses the Bible as its base for law. Isn't that a great idea? Both the governor and the attorney general in Virginia are graduates of Regent, and I'm so glad that that's where Daniel's decided to go. All right, we've decided that you're not going to get a degree, but you're going to get your freedom. And if you follow through on this, you're going to protect your republic. Talk alone is just not going to get this done. We have a federal government that wants to take care of you from cradle to grave, and that's just not going to work. This situation is serious, and it's getting worse every day. Let me read you a quote. I don't do this too often, but I'm going to take one word out and see if you can guess who the person is who's speaking. The budget should be balanced. The Treasury should be refiled. Public debt should be reduced. The arrogance of officialdom should be tempered and controlled. And the assistance of foreign land should be curtailed, lest we become bankrupt. People must again learn to work instead of living on public assistance. Is that a modern public servant? Who are we talking about here? Anybody know? Cicero, you got it. We've got an educated class out here. You guys all get an A. That's terrific. Just change that one word from Rome to we, and it applies just as it does to us. The last time we had a situation as serious as this, we had many people flock to defend their freedoms. They joined either the local militias or they joined the Continental Army. Now, after fooling around for a little bit trying to get this straight in terms of how they're going to have this professional Continental Army, they decided essentially that the term of enlistment would be 3 years or until the battle is won. I'm asking each of you all here to put up your right hand and say you'll do the same. Please join me in doing this. We need to do this. You must enlist for 3 years or until this job is done. All right? Well, we can do that too. We've got great subject matter specialists, one who's spoken to you already. We're going to have others that come afterwards. My expertise is telling you what the heck to do to get it back right. And I'm happy to do that. All right. Let me talk about it. First thing that I want you to do is, other than now that you've signed up, is look for those folks in the yellow jerseys. There are sergeants in this new Continental Tea Army of concerned citizens. those folks, make sure that they know who you are, how to get in touch with you, and make sure that you're involved with this work. It's absolutely essential that you do so. First thing that I want you to do is I want you to go out there and I want you to recruit 5 other voting citizens who also promise that they'll go out and recruit 5 more.
Change in your pocket.
She wants change in your pocket. I want change in Washington. And the way, if you're going to have change in Washington, the way you're going to have to do that is you're going to go out and you're going to recruit, you're going to vote, you're going to recruit 5 more who vote, and ask them to go recruit 5 more. All right? We're going to support the Tea Party in an effort to obtain signed commitments by all the candidates. I don't care whether they're Republicans or Democrats. Let's go to all of them. And let's ask all of them to sign. And what they're going to sign to do essentially is contained in that one-pager that's out there that I wrote for the Mercury. We're going to make sure that we readdress the things which are wrong with Washington in terms of its relationship with the states. All right? We want you to attend and support the Tea Party town meetings, which will be held between now and Election Day, and then after, looking towards 2012. If you do those things, we're on our way. All right? They're absolutely essential. All right, now, what's the first thing that is actually contained in my little one-pager out there? We are going to make sure that the government does not spend money that it does not have. All right? Trust funds must be trust funds. Do you realize that, that all these funds which were created swear to all of us that they were going to be trust funds, whether it's highway, whether it's Social Security? They're basically bankrupt. There's no, all that money has been appropriated by the federal treasury. It's used essentially to support this thriftless government, and we must go back and restore it. I would also ask that Congress, with these candidates, it's going to take a while to do all this, but if we get the candidates committed to doing it, there's nothing to say that they can't comply without having the law changed prior to complying with us, and that's why we need these candidate commitments. I want them to basically commit that they will not pass a budget which is out of budget, that is not fully covered, and I also want to make sure that they don't pass a budget which accounts for more than 20% of GNP. Well, what I mean there essentially is the government now, the average, sort of the normal these days is 20%. It really ought to be down closer to 15. But let's, for a starter, let's say that they will not pass a budget which is more than 20% of GNP. All right? That essentially will be required. If we do those things, we'll help tremendously in making sure that this Congress, this next Congress, starts to restore some balance and provide the funds to the states that they need in order to do the function that they have. There cannot be any unfunded federal mandates. No federal mandates that don't come with funds. Today, everything the federal government does essentially comes with a requirement that we spend our money here in the states that we don't have. And unlike the federal government, we can't just run a printing press. That puts your senators and Congress and legislators up in Columbia in a real bad fix. They just can't do this. So, heaven's sakes, let's make sure that that's one of the requirements. No unfunded mandates. We should really return this balance back to the states. You know, we had a candidate for president come to the Citadel about 2 weeks ago, and for the first time he handled the issue of this health care debate in the proper way. There are limited functions which are given by the citizens and the states to the federal government. For the first time in talking about health care, he pointed to the Massachusetts plan as essentially being in accord with states' rights and responsibilities. If the states want to do this, that's one thing, but it is well beyond anything that was conceived by our founders as being within the Constitution. And I hope that we'll get an accelerated appeal to the Supreme Court, and that Supreme Court will indeed make that very clear to the legislature that they can't do that. This is a state prerogative, not one which is a federal prerogative. So if we readdress this, this will provide some of the extra room that the states need to attack these issues in a way which is in keeping with our traditions here and with our needs here. There are plenty of ways to handle this health care debate, and some of them essentially make sense in terms of doing it for New York. That's fine. Let New York go ahead and do what New York wants to do. We don't want that down here. All right, we don't want that down here. And the last thing that I ask too is that immediately that our candidates sign that they will not run for more than 6 terms in the House of Representatives and 2 terms in the United States Senate. All right? We do not need career politicians running Washington. It was designed to be an honor. It was designed to be something that was really looked at as being you were representing the people. This was a departure from whatever your career was, and when you were finished, you went back home into your career. That would change the perspective tremendously and make a great difference. If you'll do these things, if you'll help us get these as accomplishments, we'll have that America that you dream of, that you know that our forefathers intended. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.